Alrighty, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan Connor, and I am the Deputy Director of Bar Programs and Engagement here at the Virginia State Bar, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Lunch and Learn program, A Veteran Attendees Perspective on the VSB Annual Meeting. The VSB's virtual Lunch and Learn series offers monthly webinars and featuring topics of interest to the bar. We hope you continue to tune in and learn more about the programs and initiatives of the VSB. Today's presentation will feature a pre-recorded interview from a VSB member who has attended over 40 VSB annual meetings. Now, just a few housekeeping announcements before we begin. This is an informational session that does not offer CLE credit. You may use the questions feature to submit any questions you have about the annual meeting throughout the presentation. Now, before we jump into the interview, my colleague, Mallory Ralston, who serves as the Director of Bar Programs and Engagement here at the VSB, is going to share some exciting details about this year's annual meeting. Mallory, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Megan. I am delighted to have a few moments to share my excitement for this year's VSB annual meeting. First, I would like to recognize the hard work of the BAM committee. You have to yell it when you say it, the BAM committee, the Better Annual Meeting Committee that meets throughout the year to continuously assess feedback, consider new ideas, and make decisions that strive to provide a better annual meeting for VSB members. This year, the BAM committee is bringing a theme to the annual meeting, which is new, the theme being Waves of Change, How Virginia Lawyers Make a Difference. You'll see this theme reflected in annual meeting programming and in other places like the Lawyer Spotlight and the Virginia Lawyer Magazine. Attending the VSB annual meeting provides opportunities to bolster your practice by attending CLE sessions. You can grow your network by meeting new colleagues and judges, and engage with your state bar. All with the option to go stick your toes in the sand between CLE sessions. The BAM committee received an abundance of CLE program submissions from VSB sections and committees this year and selected a great combination of practice-specific sessions and timely showcase topics that will be of interest to all practice areas. The annual meeting is seeking 12.5 hours of CLE credit, including 4.5 hours of ethics credit, which is still pending credit approval. The total approved credits will be available to registrants through a combination of live and on-demand CLE credit hours. All but one of the sessions will be recorded and made available as an on-demand program after the annual meeting. So as long as you're registered, you'll get access to all of that programming. We're particularly excited for this year's general session on Friday, June 5th, which will look a little bit different than past years. In addition to the standard recognition of 50-year practitioners, the presentation of the Tradition of Excellence Award, and an update from the Supreme Court of Virginia, we're also ensuring that all annual meeting attendees can experience the installation of not only the VSB president-elect, but also the VSB president. And this will all be wrapped up with a very, very entertaining CLE session, How Virginia Lawyers Can Make a Difference the Ted Lasso Way, presented by former Texas State Bar President Cindy Tisdale. I've heard it's very funny, and I'm looking forward to experiencing that CLE program. At the Friday evening banquet, we'll celebrate the hard work of outgoing VSB President Brett Marston and be inspired by the goals of incoming VSB President Sue Tarley. Then we'll end the night with a dessert bar and a trivia competition to determine which team will be awarded the President's Cup. I know Susan Tarley, incoming president, has been working hard on arranging that very entertaining opportunity and looks forward to doling out the President's Cup. So we'll see who walks away as the winner. A few other pieces I'd like to highlight before we get into the interview. Once again, for anybody who's attended the annual meeting in the past, we'll be using the Whova app again this year, which we love to see attendees use to plan their activities and to also connect with other attendees on site. Last year, we brought back the outdoor opening reception, and we received so much great feedback that, of course, we're going to offer that again. But we are also going to offer our first ever outdoor CLE program, which will take place on Thursday afternoon in Neptune Park. So you can get a little bit of sweet to the sour, right? You attend the CLE session and you have a little bit of a break, and then you can attend the opening reception outdoors. The BAM committee has also organized 2 ways for attendees to give back to the Virginia Beach community that has been our host for so many years. The Virginia Beach SPCA will be joining us again for Pause for a Break on Friday afternoon. We will also be supporting a book drive for REACH. And attendees of the annual meeting are going to be asked to bring books for kids and young adults. We will be sending out additional information to annual meeting registrants about what they can donate and maybe what they shouldn't donate. So be on the lookout for that after you register. And there are so many ways that you can get involved while you're at the annual meeting. It's not just about registering, it's about getting plugged in once you're there. Several of the VSB sections and committees host meetings and awards events during the conference, such as the local and specialty bar section breakfast, which I believe you're donned with a lei when you enter the room. Senior lawyers host their 50-year brunch to congratulate 50-year practitioners. The Access to Legal Services luncheon will take place again. The Young Lawyers section will host a dinner and a member reception, and so much more. The diversity section is seeking law student mentors to guide attending law students through their first annual meeting experience, which is a really meaningful and impactful way to support future Virginia lawyers. So if that's something you're interested in experiencing and providing that service, please reach out to the diversity section with the Virginia State Bar to let them know you're interested. And then finally, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. The sponsors of the VSB annual meeting make happen so much of the programming that takes place as part of a conference. And it's not just sponsoring the annual meeting. These are groups and organizations and firms who are supporting Virginia's attorneys. And we're so grateful for their involvement, as well as those who are contributing to the VSB President's Fund, which makes a lot of this programming happen as well. So we hope you'll come.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mallory, for that useful information. And we mentioned it, I think at the top of the program, but the dates for this year's annual meeting are June 3rd through 6th, and it'll be taking place at the Virginia Beach Oceanfront. And so now I'd like to share the pre-recorded interview between VSB President Brett Marston and the Honorable Judge Brutzis, in which Judge Brutzis reflects on his over 40 years of attending annual meetings and shares what he's looking forward to in 2026. I hope you enjoyed the interview, and I hope you bear with me. There may be a small lag as we get the video playing.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn. It is my honor to have with us Judge George Varousas, who is going to talk to us a little bit about his experience, and quite an experience it is in terms of having attended the Virginia State Bar annual meetings for many, many years. And we're going to get into some details about that. The purpose of this is so that folks who have not attended before or have not been to many meetings can get the benefit of the judge's insight about the annual meeting and to hear some stories about how it has changed over the years and why he has found it to be such a valuable part of his experience as a member of the Virginia State Bar. So Judge, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And just want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the attendees, and then we'll jump right into a few questions and have a conversation.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed being a member of the Virginia State Bar for over 50 years. I went to college and law school at the University of Richmond and came back home to Northern Virginia to have a clerkship in the federal court. Stayed in Northern Virginia. That was in 1973. I noticed that the annual meeting of the Virginia State Bar in 1975 was in Arlington at the old Twin Bridges Marriott, which is no longer there, right as you go into Washington. And I thought it'd be a nice thing to go to. I was a young lawyer. There was a criminal law section and seminar and meeting, but that was before CLE actually. But it was. I thought I was very impressed to go to that meeting, attend the criminal law seminar and section meeting. I was the young guy with all these old lawyers that were very prominent in the criminal law field, and I was very I felt very good being around them and learning a lot from them. But it was a nice experience. I don't even remember that much about it, but I did know that I thought it was a nice thing to do and to keep doing. Back then, the next year, the Virginia State Bar annual meeting was at the Homestead, which is a little bit too far for me back then. I didn't go. And the year after that, it was in Williamsburg, and I didn't go then either. But 1977, when I went for the first time, it was at Virginia Beach. And I thought that was just a great destination to go in middle June. I had worked there in one summer in law school, you know, as a waiter, and I was looking forward going back to Virginia Beach. So I went down there, and I was, you know, the one of the younger people there. It was very formal then. When you had a meeting or a seminar or a cocktail party, everybody wore suits, even at the you know, breakfast meetings.
Right.
And cocktail parties, the women, I said they were wearing their prom dresses. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Got to run into a few people that I hadn't seen since law school, and some other people that I got to know around, that I knew of from around the state. So it was a really great experience. I kept going every year. It changed a little bit. At one point, a few years after going, I got married. And a few years after that, I had a daughter, and I took her to a lot of Virginia State Bar meetings, because the meeting became a lot less formal and a lot more family oriented. So I used to tease my daughter that you know, she knew more lawyers than most lawyers knew from with us, and it was so nice, because you're down there, and it's good when you're young to meet old people, and it was a lot of, you know, I'm not that impressed now being around judges, but then I was, and you know, you're there, and you had cases with them, and they're sitting up there, and now you're at a meeting with them, having a drink with them out on the cocktail area in Virginia Beach overlooking the ocean. But made a lot of networking. I made friends going every year that I even would only see once a year, and would see them at the Virginia State Bar meeting. A lot of friends from law school, a lot of people you meet throughout the state. After I was a lawyer for 24 years, and the last dozen or so years, I was on the Virginia State Bar Council, which always has a meeting every year that coincides with the Virginia State Bar meeting. And I mean, most people don't even know how the Virginia State Bar runs, but that's the group that is sort of the board of directors of the State Bar. And, you know, there's a lot of interesting things that are going on with lawyers. And I think it's really nice to know what's going on in your profession. And I mean, really, I'm surprised that every lawyer doesn't try to go to the annual meeting every year, because it's a mandatory trade association, I guess. And you know, it's interesting to go there. The law firms often encourage their younger members to go. I made a lot of friends. I enjoyed being on the State Bar Council for, like I said, a dozen years, until I became no longer an active member of the State Bar, but a judicial member. And a lot of judges sort of drop out, but I thought it was even better to go as a judge to run into a lot of people that I don't get to see around in person anymore. So it's a lot of social stuff. It's much more informal than it used to be. You know, many years ago they started with mandatory CLE, so you can get some CLE credits. They give out you know, some they recognize some young, new, and diversity lawyers, and it's nice. So anything you want to know, or what do you think?
I'm sure there's a lot of things that our listeners and attendees want to know about, but one of the things I want to make sure that they understand, and I think this is incredible, is that since you started going back in 1978, how many times have you missed the Virginia State Bar annual meeting? And on the flip side of that, then, how many of them have you been to?
Well, I guess I'm the Lou Gehrig or Cal Ripken of going to bar association meetings, because I haven't missed since 1978. So I've been to close to 50 in a row. The only year I missed was the COVID year, but that was the year we didn't have a formal Virginia State Bar meeting. And I look forward to going every year. And it's a little bit of a ride down from Northern Virginia, but once you get there, it's worth it.
Well, that's an incredible run. We really, that's impressive. And on behalf of the State Bar, thank you for all those years of attendance and support. It's important for us to have young, older, and judicial members at the meeting, so that we have good conversations and and folks get to know each other. So I think you're a living example of how this should work. So tell me about and tell our attendees about some of the things that are enjoyable, other than what you've already told us about. What are some of the things you found enjoyable over the years about being at the Virginia State Bar Annual Meeting in Virginia Beach? And, you know, what is it that they could look forward to if they attended?
Well, I enjoy the meeting pretty much has sort of the same format. It varies a little bit over the years, but they have a sort of an opening cocktail greeting party, which is sort of fun because you run into a lot of people you haven't seen in a while. My wife has made a lot of friends with lawyers that we see every year from different parts of the state, and enjoy going to those social outings. I enjoy going. There's always a law school alumni event, and usually it's a breakfast on Saturday morning. I enjoy going to that. Get to see some people from the law school, and see the University of Richmond. The dean and some of the staff is there. A lot of people go to they have a banquet, which used to be sort of fancy every year, and that's usually when they cut back on speeches, so that it's
Yes.
more social than business and boring. But the highlight of me going to the State Bar was probably when I got to swear in my best friend Ed Weiner as Virginia State Bar president. And that was what was that, about 10 years ago now, maybe, close.
Just about. I think so. That's right.
And it was, usually after the banquet, there's a party, with a band and a lot of dancing and socializing. So I enjoy that. They have, they try to have some fun events. One like the CLE event Saturday morning the last few years has been Judicial Squares, which is sort of a takeoff on, I guess, Hollywood Squares, or that's sort of fun. And actually, my good friend Ed Weiner has a great event for families. The bingo.
Yes.
It's very entertaining. A lot of little kids. It's a little tough for kids sometimes and families to come to the meeting because it can be during a little bit of a conflict with school. But I mean, I did a lot of family court judge work, and I always, whenever a family member said, "Is it okay to take my kid out of school to go on a vacation or go on to work with me?" I always say they're going to learn more there than they are in school. And,
good point. Yeah, we try to keep it from conflicting too much with school schedules and other holidays and those type things. But definitely is something that is important to have families there with us to help to recognize and see how hard everyone's working and enjoying the time together. So has the meeting changed over the years? You mentioned being there back when it first started in Virginia Beach in the late 1970s. If you had to describe some of the things other than, I guess, the formality of it, how would you describe changes that have occurred in the meeting over the course of the last 50 years?
Well, it's, like I say, it was a lot more formal, but, when I started, all the lawyers were men back then. There were no women lawyers, hardly, just a handful. So now it's most, it's like the law schools now, it's at least 50% women. One nice event I forgot to mention that it has changed, at least for me. I used to always on I guess it's Friday morning, they used to have a race on the boardwalk.
Right.
And I used to participate in that until
I think they still do the run in the sun.
They do the run. The run in
Yes.
the run in the sun is what they call it. I remember I sort of helped organize that early on, and I was a good runner at the time. Then my hips went out, and now I'm doing a walk for fun.
It's the flattest race course in the entire country. So it's nice, right?
Very scenic. I really enjoy going to Virginia Beach, although I know the State Bar is going to move to a better conference and more centrally located place maybe after this year, which you have to change, and it's going to work out.
I think we're looking at probably coming back to Virginia Beach one more time after that, and then seeing about potential rotation of it. So I think that the Better Annual Meeting Committee has been interested in trying to assess locations and how that might impact attendance. And I know, Judge, you were involved in putting together the Better Annual Meeting Committee at one point in time and participated on that.
Well,
Tell the attendees what the bar really tries to do and what its leadership tries to do to enhance the meeting.
we were trying to get a better attended meeting, and because like so many lawyers do not participate like they used to. It used to be sort of everybody was involved with local bar associations, and now they're all sort of specialized and don't join organizations like they used to. So the Virginia State Bar has been a little bit of a victim of that. But the Virginia State Bar is a mandatory organization, but attending the meeting isn't mandatory. But it really is very helpful. It's good for your career. And you know what? If you socialize a little bit and you meet other lawyers, even if they're not in your specialty, you make friends. It's in a nice, friendly environment. It'll keep you going. So many lawyers burn out. They have lawyers helping lawyers, whatever what do they call it now? The
VJ Lap.
Yeah, they try to keep people happy and well behaved and on top of things, and that's a good thing. Because if you're paying attention and doing the right thing, it'll be a lot. Your career will be a lot better, and you'll be a lot more successful if you like what you're doing.
What are even if the location changes, Judge, what are the things that you foresee and hope will continue as a part of the Virginia State Bar Annual Meeting as it goes forward?
Well, I think it's going to be really nice at a huge conference center. I mean, everybody will be in the same place, and we won't be all spread out like we are in Virginia Beach. So that'll be sort of nice, and be a little bit easier to get in and out of. And but it's nice to move around. But it's then you have to reinvent things, I guess, all the time too.
So if you're a young attorney and you're there and you see some judges, maybe from the Supreme Court of Virginia or Court of Appeals, what's your advice to our newer attorney attendees on how they can go up and talk to a judge who is at one of the higher level courts? How would you recommend they do that?
Just everybody's there on a friendly social basis. They're not running back to their next case. I'd introduce yourself, say hello. You might have something in common with them, like the same law school or the same area or some kind of background that you have in common. It's no, everybody likes to visit. You like to help people. So I think it's a good thing to just go up and talk to everybody. You'll find them to be very friendly, and it just makes for a very, very social and pleasant event.
Do you think that the annual meeting is a good opportunity for newer attorneys or those who maybe been practicing for a while to get interested in or involved in bar leadership? Is this an occasion where that can be a springboard toward getting more involved?
Well, it absolutely is, because I went there and I ended up getting on the Virginia State Bar Council, and I was also very involved with the local bar association in Arlington, where I'm from. So I was president of that, and so it'll really get you involved with and very more knowledgeable of your profession and what's going on.
So we talked a couple of times, and we'll get to the last couple of questions here now. But in terms of it being an event for more than just the attorney, but for the family, talk a little bit more about what you found over the years was what you've seen folks be able to do with, if their spouse is there or their children are there. What is it that makes it a family fun event, and how can folks look forward to, and why should they look forward to bringing family along?
Well, whether it's in Virginia Beach or somewhere else, I mean, even the place that we might go in Spotsylvania, that's going to have a fabulous water park, and it's fun to be away from home be in a resort type area and mixing business with pleasure.
Absolutely, very good. So as we wrap up here and kind of put a bow around this conversation, Judge, you've really been an example of how a Virginia State Bar member and a member of the judiciary can be a positive influence on the bar and on the annual meeting. What are some words of wisdom you would leave those that are on the program with us today who might be thinking about attending or thinking about maybe attending a second time or thinking about getting more involved in the state bar? What would you recommend related to the annual meeting and what they should be considering?
Well, I really urge young lawyers and even old lawyers to stay involved and get involved. Go to the meeting, network a little bit, find out what's going on with the profession. You'll learn a little bit, you make some friends. It'll make your whole career a lot more enjoyable and successful.
Well, Judge, I can't thank you enough for participating in this way. This conversation is the outcropping or the result of the fact that you and I at the last annual meeting had a conversation about how many you had attended. And we thought, both of us thought this would be a great thing to record and to share with others. And so I'm glad we've been able to make this happen.
Well,
I'm glad you've been able to.
That's how you and I got to be friends.
Yeah, absolutely. We had not met before that, and now we know we have a lot of friends in common, and we both enjoy the bar work. So I can't thank you enough for sharing. I look forward to seeing you again at Virginia Beach this year. And for those of you listening, I hope you have been able to learn a little bit from our friend George, Judge George Verusas, and a little bit about his many years of positive experience at the Virginia State Bar Annual Meeting. And both the judge and I look forward to seeing you there in June of 2026. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to express my gratitude to Brett and Judge Verusas for recording that conversation and sharing it with us. I hope everyone enjoyed learning some VSB history this afternoon. I know I really enjoyed getting to hear his memories from, all the way back in 1978, his first meeting. So we have just a couple of minutes left on the webinar today. So if you are still with us, I encourage you to drop some questions in the chat if you want to know anything about the 2026 annual meeting. Now to get us started, Mallory, I have a couple of questions of my own that I would love to ask. For the 2026 annual meeting, what is the deadline to register?
Oh, good point. You're going to remind me of things I should have said at the beginning. So the deadline for folks to register is May 22nd. We do have a soft deadline preceding that. Early bird registration, which affects returning attendees, ends on April 24th. So the price of registration goes up $25. It goes from $275 to $300 after April 24th. And then again, folks can still register on site, but there is a small additional fee to register on site.
And in terms of accommodations, what is the deadline to make a reservation within the VSB hotel blocks?
So there are several different options available. All of those are identified on the VSB's annual meeting website. And there's a link that says hotel room blocks or hotel registration. And so there, each hotel has a different deadline to reserve within that room block. The earliest one, I believe, is May 1st. And I think the latest one is May 7th, but those do vary by property. I will note that the weekend that the annual meeting is taking place, like starting June 6th, is the start of the sand soccer tournament in Virginia Beach, which I've learned is insanely popular. So I would encourage anybody who's going to be staying on site to go ahead and make your reservations early before those room blocks end.
Okay, cool. So within the next couple of weeks, folks should be making those arrangements. Great. Well, one thing that I enjoyed hearing about in the interview was Judge Verusas mentioning that, he was able to bring his daughter to the meeting and that the meeting became, more and more family friendly over the years. Can you give us a little bit of a taste of what's available for, family members if they're going to attend the meeting this June?
Of course, and I appreciated hearing that too. I recognize that it can be challenging to bring kiddos, especially depending on the dates of the annual meeting. So it is a little bit earlier this year. We're still hopeful that people can tag along and at least let their family join them for Friday and Saturday events. We will have some things that people are used to seeing. So bingo with Bingo Bob. The Run in the Sun is in fact still happening. That's a 5K race that takes place on the boardwalk, and kids do run that. But family members are invited to, guests of annual meeting attendees are invited to register for that as well. There's a sandcastle contest on Saturday morning, and I mentioned already pause for a break with the Virginia Beach SPCA will be Friday afternoon, and then the raffle will take place again. That happens Saturday, sort of as the annual meeting is concluding, and of course the beach is there. I mean, that's its own form of entertainment, and if I, personally speaking, if I was attending an annual meeting that I could spend the entire time on the beach and then gain access to all of my CLE credit hours as on-demand programming later, I would have a hard time being indoors. But we hope the weather is nice for everybody this year.
Wonderful. And we're about wrapped up at the end of our segment today. But is there anything else, Mallory, that you want to share with folks who are listening in about what to expect from the annual meeting?
I think the one point I just want to focus on a little bit more, Judge Varoufakis mentioned in the interview that he's aware the VSB's annual meeting is going to be moving in 2027. It will be at the new Kalahari Resort in Spotsylvania after a lot of consideration, not only by the Better Annual Meeting Committee, but also the VSB Executive Committee, and so that it got more attention than it normally would, and we considered a lot of feedback. We're excited to make the move, and I just wanted to say that we appreciate any feedback that can come our way about that move. We hope you'll join us for the journey. We are embracing waves of change ourselves and trying something new to be a little bit more geographically centered in the state and to keep the cost of the annual meeting low for the people who are attending. So please join us, like I said, for that journey. And we don't have anything contracted for 2028, so don't fear, more change will come.
Wonderful. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so I think we can go ahead and wrap up. I want to once again thank Mallory for setting aside some time today to tell us about the meeting, and again to Brett and Judge Varoufakis for kind of letting us be a fly on the wall of that conversation. We hope to see everyone at the annual meeting in Virginia Beach. Don't forget the early bird discount expires April 24th. And a link to the event website has been shared in the chat, but if you would like to, you can go to vsb.org, and all of that information will be on the homepage. Thank you again for joining us today, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, Megan.